I'm not your typical Apple sheep. I don't queue in line for Apple product. I don't buy a new smartphone every year. I'm the average consumer who is willing to spend a great deal of money on a good device. As you see, I have a MacBook Pro 13 with CD, a Magic Keyboard, and the iPhone 6. Also, I had the iPod, but I gave to my sister. But my story with Apple didn't start here. My first Apple product was the iPhone 4, which also was my first smartphone. My iPhone 4 was the deal. It did everything it needed to do. I installed jailbreak and it was just amazing. But then later on, I switched to Galaxy S4, which I loved a lot. But unfortunately, the screen broke after 6 months. Back then, we didn't have the screen protection, those glasses that protect your screen. And when I tried to replace my Galaxy screen, it was just way too expensive. So I switched back to my iPhone 4, which just worked fine. Later on, I came to acquire an iPad. Back then, I didn't know what iPad was used for. I just liked the device. Also, later on in 2014, that's 2 years later, my brother and I were shopping for a new computer for college. We were thinking about our Windows at first time, but we remember that our Windows computer never lasts really longer. Because we are heavy user, we install everything on the Windows and then the computer crashed. So we decided to try the MacBook Pro. We ended up getting the MacBook Pro 13. The Pro part was essential for us because only girls and naive users buy MacBook Air. The new MacBook was powerful to get the job done, but we also installed Windows because you cannot switch from Windows to MacBook that fast. You need to go slowly. 1 year later, I bought my iPhone 6, which I loved and enjoyed a lot. Now my iPhone 6 and MacBook Pro are kinda getting old. I even upgraded my SSD of my MacBook Pro to SSD, which gave a great boost. But my MacBook Pro is still old, even with the new SSD. The boost is not that big, but it has noticeable change. My MacBook Pro is performing better with the new SSD, but just not in the way I want. The computer is old. Every time I switch on the computer, a pink and yellow screen show up. If I try to render a video, it just takes way too long. The reason I'm delaying to switch to Windows is because I'm a developer and a programmer as well. I do a lot of programming on my MacBook Pro. It's just simple and practical. If I want to build an iPhone app and Android app, I just open Xcode and that baggy Android Studio. Unfortunately, there's no Xcode for Windows. Aside from it, the terminal in the MacBook Pro is just amazing. It's very practical setup in the MacBook. I tried to develop on Windows, but my setup had a lot of bugs, which later came to find out it was not me, it was the Windows computer. Carry on. My iPhone is old as well. 4 years already. I bought that in 2015 and now it's 2019. And the screen is broken, the battery is not great anymore, and the aux is having issues. But the main reason I'm not upgrading those devices to new Apple device is because Apple is just not as good as the competitor. I cannot install jailbreak again. Even if I buy iPhone 10, I cannot install jailbreak. Right now, Apple is outdating the iTunes and music app. The music app just sucks. It doesn't follow the sequence. If you listen to music 1 and want to listen to music 2, it will jump to music 4 and then jump back to music 3. It just makes no sense. Right now the music is very, very bad. I think Apple is scaling the music app because they want you to use the Apple Music and subscribe to them. I'm saying that because the music app is full of bugs, while the Apple Music is just work flawless. I'm not subscribing to Apple Music. I don't need another gel. I'm trying to break out of the Apple ecosystem. Second, the new MacBook Pro just sucks. Really, it sucks big time. They should call it MacBook Lite, because that's the only thing it has. It has a bad design, the keyboard sucks, it's underperforming. And you say, how can it have bad design if it looks good? The thing is, computers are not, they were not invented to look good. They were invented to be practical and useful for productivity. The design is a bonus. The productivity is the reason why people buy computer. And right now, the MacBook Pro is not a good bargain. On top of that, the best MacBook Pro you can get, it will cost you more than $5,000, and that's a lot. For that price, I can just buy a superior Windows PC and still have money left over for a home setup. And also, right now, there's Visual Studio Code for programming and other hybrids. Right now, there's Visual Studio Code for programming, which also came with the terminal, and also other hybrid solutions like Flutter and React Native. So I can just switch. I don't need to have Xcode or Android Studio. I can just code on Flutter and React Native. You might say I'm bitch a lot, but the thing is, I'm a guy who value performance and convenience over design. And Apple right now is all about design. The cost to upgrade my whole Apple tools is just too high, and the performance doesn't justify the price. If I decide to buy the top new iPhone and MacBook Pro, it will cost me at least $13,000. There's no way I'm spending that much money on tech. Some of you might say, why don't you buy the base model? That's a valid question, by the way. The reason why I'm not buying the base model is because tech is a productivity investment for me. If I'm gonna use something for a long time, I wanna have the best. Buying the basic model is like buying a V6 Mustang instead of V8. Anyway, that's all for today. I will update as soon as I get my new setup. I will be combining maybe Windows with Android or Linux with Android. It will be something like that, but I'm not to spend $13,000 on new MacBook setup. Anyway, thanks for listening. Please like, subscribe.